Okay, I think we'll kick things off. Oh, a couple more. Okay, all right. Again, welcome everyone. Thanks for attending this webinar today. Today we're going to look at creating a full nurture campaign from start to finish. So we're going to build the emails and the campaign workflow just to give you an idea of what's possible. So I'll start with a few things to think about before creating new emails and campaigns like this, the best practices, I guess. I'll give you a quick overview of what we're going to cover within the platform, and then we'll get into it. We should have time for Q&A at the end, so if you do have any questions as we go along, please put them in the Q&A box. If we don't get to them, we will come back to you after the session, so don't worry about that. And a quick note, we are recording the session, so if you have to leave early or if you want to go back and revisit anything, we will send you a copy after this so you can go back and have a look at that at your own pace. Okay, so to begin, before you consider creating new emails and campaigns in your account, there's a few things to think about, or what we consider best practices, I guess, having done this for so long. So in terms of email creation, you want to think about optimizing your subject line. You need to make it personal. You need to grab the attention of your contacts and make them want to open your email. So you can use things like placeholders within your email subject, which I can take you through, to make sure, like I said, you pique their interest, and out of all the emails in their inbox, they're going to open yours. You need to make sure your email content is concise, it's relevant, and it's helpful. Use local and up-to-date stats if you can, so that you can show your local knowledge and expertise, and include any calls to action towards the top of your email so that your contacts aren't having to scroll to find them and perhaps missing them. Also think about what else you're sending, and make sure that what you're thinking about creating now doesn't overlap with that or oversaturate your contacts with emails. If you are going to overlap, make sure that the content you're creating now is significantly different and valuable enough in its own right so that it warrants both campaigns. Think about who you're sending your emails to. Make sure the content is tailored to your contacts' needs. So you're creating and sending content or relevant content to your buyers and sellers independently. Your contacts are going to be much more receptive if you show that you know what their needs are. And finally, don't go for the hard sell straight away. It's a journey or a progressive conversation, starting with brand awareness, information and education for your contacts, and making yourself valuable in terms of the information and services you can provide them. You're going to build their confidence in you and what you can offer them, and then make your campaigns also based on interest and interaction, so that you know that you're communicating with contacts that want to hear from you. So in terms of the agenda, we're going to build an example potential seller nurture campaign. It'll comprise of 3 emails, and then we'll build the campaign to send those out to relevant and engaged contacts. If we have time, I'll go over the campaign triggers and conditions you can use to create workflows that are based on relevant attributes and engagement. And then, as I said, we'll have some Q&A at the end. Okay, so let's jump in. And we'll start looking at the emails menu. And you can see I've already created these, because what I'd like to do is take you through what we're looking to build, and then we'll do it step by step so that you know what we're aiming for. So here's our 3 emails that I've created earlier. I'm going to step into the first one and go straight to the preview to show you that. So here you can see I have my introduction. I'm starting my conversation, I'm building my brand awareness, and I'm giving a bit of education and information and raising interest in what I can offer my contacts. So it's a nice warm welcome, quite short though, short and concise, like I said, and then some relevant content that my contacts are going to be interested in reading. So that's our first touch point. Into the second touch point. here's where we're going to start building confidence in the contacts in your expertise, and add some testimonials, some recent successes, and a call to action for those that are already interested. So we're going to add a video testimonial and, like I said, some recently sold properties to get their interest up and their confidence. And then in the third email, and I'll explain how this will work when we get to the campaign stage as well. Third email is just a very quick, concise touch point for those people that haven't already hit that call to action button, just to give them a better idea of the value and services you can provide. And again, with that call to action. So there's no properties or anything else in that. It's a simple, we're here if you need us, and this is what we can offer you. Here's my call to action. So very quick and simple email, that one to build. So we'll take you through building them. Does that all make sense so far? Can I get a quick smiley face from someone? Okay. So, sorry, I've just very quickly gone from emails to create email. Choosing a template, thanks Pia, thanks Jess. And we're going to give this a name. So this is my potential seller 1 email. Now that's just an internal reference. It's not going to be seen by anyone else but yourselves. But here up the top here is our subject, which our contacts will see. So this is where I said we need to be compelling, we need to be concise, and we need to be personalized. So here's where you can do something like yes, and then you can use a contact first name placeholder to grab your contact's attention, to hopefully get them to open your emails or your agent's emails. Then we have to select a category. I think we'll go property information, and then we'll go down to our base template. So this is our base to build upon. Now we're looking to build that first email example we looked at. So I'm going to make our first intro panel active. And for the sake of time, I'm going to copy and paste in our new copy. And obviously you can do that too, if it saves you time as well. And as I said, this one doesn't have a call to action, but it has some content, relevant content. So we're going to go right down the bottom, choose a smart feed panel, which you can choose whichever you prefer, drag and drop that in as a new panel. And you see that that panel is now active. We click on the icon here to go through to the blog library. Now here you'll see some preloaded content that's all available to you for you to use at your discretion. You can access that for free, and it's always updated. So it's all relevant content. Let's have a look at the real estate voice. So it's just a matter of clicking on any of those links. You can also look up a different RSS enabled blog at the top if you want to, and then just choosing a relevant article that you'd like to include. So if we're looking at selling, let's have a look at this one. And you've quickly and easily dropped that into your template. Now you've got the option to modify these. So if I think that's a bit long, I can always take away a bit of text. And then when the contacts come in, they can click read article to see the full thing. So you can modify these to suit your needs as well. I'm just going to add in a couple more like we had with the example. So let's have a look at, okay, we've just hit winter, so that's nice and relevant. Personally, I think you want to make this a bit more positive, so let's go and change our heading. So just making you aware that all of this is editable, and you can modify this to, like I said, suit your needs, but it's there for you to utilize. So there's a nice second article, and I'm adding another one with a plus, and then the icon again. Let's have a look at real content. And for any New Zealanders on board, I think I saw a nice article here for good reasons to sell in New Zealand. So again, like I said, this is too long, so we can just remove that for now, and they can read the whole article when they come in. You can also change the images if you want to. That's all flexible. So you can see within a few clicks, there's our first point of contact. A nice introduction, the conversation starter, the brand awareness, the education. As an admin, just a quick note, you can go in and change preview so you can see your other agent profiles and make sure that, I haven't mentioned it yet, but this down here is dynamic content. So that is a dynamic placeholder that'll update to suit whoever you're sending out on behalf of. And that's the same with up here, the first name placeholder that's attached to the contact's first name. So that'll populate automatically for each contact in each database. So that's number one, just click save. If I wasn't talking, obviously that would take like a minute. It's nice and quick. Then we'll go potential seller 2. Like I said, if you've got any queries as we go, please submit them in the Q&A and I'll see if I can address them as we go. Again, a nice, concise, quick subject. You'll probably think of something better than me, but you know, just make sure it's snappy and piques their interest. And then in this one, we've got copy with a call to action. So again, make sure that they are close to the top so that they don't get missed. You can always format your text. Hopefully you're aware of that. So we might make this bold so they know there's some testimonials to read below, and then we'll add our button here. So here's the button within a panel icon. Put in your button text. Again, I'm copy and pasting this all for time's sake, but you can obviously just type it in. But if you have it in a doc somewhere, it makes it easier again. And your link address will obviously be different. That's just an example. So there's our call to action. Then we want to add, I'm going to add our testimonial. So we'll add a heading. Let's change that text. I've just made that paragraph text, so I want to go back to heading 1 and I might center it. And then we'll come down to a media panel and pick up the video. If we click on that choose video button, that'll take us through to all the clips from our YouTube channel. So if yours isn't set up, you can set it up in your account settings, and then you just can click on any clip that you like, or you can put another YouTube URL up the top. So just choose something that looks relevant here. Just choose Alistair, and then you very quickly have a nice testimonial within your email. And then again, we want to add another heading to give us some separation between our content, and we want some property. So from the property panels, again, choose whichever you prefer. I'm going to choose a grid. First, I'm going to change that copy. And center that as well. And then we're going to go back to the property grid. So in terms of this scenario, I'm going to turn on the auto feed toggle. You can choose your properties manually if that suits the purpose. It's more for a feature property. But here I'm going to automate that. Click on define properties. And in this case, I want to show my sold properties, and probably in newest to oldest order. So I've gone into the listing status and changed that to sold, and my order by sold newest to oldest. Now there's obviously a lot of other things I can change in here if I want to. I can get into more depth with that if there's interest, but for this use case, I'm going to leave it there. So that will automatically update to those settings I've just given it for this scenario, this journey. So having a look at the preview, here's our second touch point. We've got our call to action nice and high at the top, concise, relevant text, and then some testimonials and recent success to show contacts what we can offer and that we're successful and we're the experts in the local area. So again, that took a minute, if I'm not talking, to make number 2. Another thing to note, it's probably not quite the case in this scenario, but you do have the option to duplicate your emails. So if you're making a journey like this and you've got 2 email templates that are quite similar, but one might have different content, just duplicate the first one and then adjust the second one's content. Save you a bit of time. And then so number 3, choosing our template again. And we'll call this email 3. And this is our third touch point. So it's revisiting those people that have shown interest, but haven't taken up the opportunity or clicked that call to action. So it's just a very simple change to the text. So making that panel active and replacing it. So we can add a number here and there very quickly and simply, and perhaps make this bold to highlight our offer. So again, we're showing the value and services that we can provide to the contacts to hopefully get them to click on the button we're about to add. So up here to the button, put in your button text and the link that you want that to go to. So that can be a mail to, that can be whatever you like. So if having a look at the preview, here's our nice succinct touch point for number 3. Okay, again, clicking save, and now we can move on to adding these emails into a campaign. So back into our menus and over to campaigns. We're doing okay so far, all making sense. Not a lot of questions, so I'm hoping that's the case. I'm just going to again show you the one I've created earlier to show you what we're building towards here. So here's our potential seller campaign. So as an admin, the first thing I'm choosing is who I'm sending on behalf of. In this case, we're going to add everybody, but again, that's totally up to you. If you don't think this is relevant content for one of your agents to send out, you can remove them. And then we're selecting all contacts for now, because we're going to filter them further down. So in this case, we're going to start this campaign based on a certain date and time. This is one way you can do it. You can do it another way. I can show you that in a little bit. But here's where we qualify our contacts, where we have a condition that we're going to send this email if they have the tag of potential seller. So we're only going to send this content to people that it's relevant to. And if all of that, after all of those steps, we're going to send our first touch point. We're then going to add in a delay. And like I said, I'm going to step you through this in a sec, of whatever time period we choose. And then another condition to say, hey, has this person opened my email and clicked on a link? They've shown some interest. I'm going to send them my second touch point. So there's the second touch point there. Then we're going to add another delay, further qualify them to say, these people didn't click on my call to action, so I want to give them one more chance and show them what I can offer them. So they did not click on that call to action button. I'm going to send them my third touch point. All right, so now let's do that. So again, give your campaign a name and you'll start here. As I said, as an admin, your first choice is who am I sending this on behalf of? I'm going to choose everybody. If you had 100 agents and you wanted to take 2 off, add everybody and take off the 2 that you don't want. Then our recipients. In this scenario, we're going to select all contacts because we're going to filter our contacts by condition. There is a different way to do that, which we can also go through if we've got time. So once we've done those preset modules, we're going to add a new module. And the first one we're going to make this campaign start based on a date and time we set. So we're choosing scheduler, date and time. So that can be whenever you like. You can set that to whenever you think your emails are most likely to be opened. And then we're going to add our first condition. So our first condition was if they're tagged, so has the tag. You could also use does not have the tag if that's relevant to what you want to refine this to, of potential seller. And as we type that in, it'll come up with any any matching tags that we can choose. Okay, so on this date and time, if contacts have this tag, I want to add the action of sending my email. And that's my first touch point. So there's potential sellers 1. Okay, then we're adding our delay. So the delay module is now available. You would have seen that it was grayed out before because we couldn't use that previously. So the campaign builder will try to help you to build a successful campaign in terms of the workflow. So here's a delay. And again, just choose whatever you feel is appropriate and choose your value as well. We had 2 in the example. So we're adding the delay and then we're going to add our new condition of, now there's a couple of ways again that you could do this. You could do it based on the contacts just opening the email. They've shown a little bit of interest by opening your email. Okay, I'll send them the second touch point. In this case, we've said if they click the link. So they've obviously opened the email and they clicked on a link. So we're choosing the particular email that we've just sent in the previous step. And you can get more in depth, or you could just say any. Have they shown any interest by opening my email and clicking on a link? So yes, they're engaged. I'm going to send them number 2. Okay, hopefully that's still all making sense. Then we're going to add our third delay, or a second delay, for our third touch point. Again, that was 2 days in the example. Now this is a little bit different. We've already qualified people at the second touch point. They've opened one of the emails. So this time we're going to say condition did not click in number 2, that second email with our call to action, that call to action button. So we want to give them another opportunity to hit that button and contact us after showing them a bit more of the value that we can give them. So if did not click after that delay, we're going to send them touch point 3. And there we go, that's the full workflow for what we just looked at before. So at that point you save. Obviously if you're ready, you save and activate, and off that goes at the time and date you select. Pia's just asked where the recipient tags are drawn from. Yes, they are categories from your CRM if you are integrated. You can also set up tags manually within your account as well if you upload CSVs, or even if you have CRM integration as well. So yes, they come from your categories. Yeah, so I'll save that. Now at this point, it's probably good to note that this is obviously a decent sized email in terms of its length, and we have 3 touch points. Now you can get in a lot more depth than that. So you could have 7, some people 20 touch points. So that becomes a really long email, a really long campaign. You do have the option to separate that into individual campaigns. So per touch point, you have a campaign. And the benefit of that is that 1, you have separate reporting for each campaign. So you can see which email has the best engagement and interaction. You also have an easier way of removing touch points because if you've got 20, as I said before, the campaign builder is built so that it's trying to help you build a correct workflow. So you can see that you can only remove your last module with the X here. So if I'm removing the middle touch point in a long campaign flow, that's a lot harder because I have to remove all the ones previous to it. So if you're building a long journey, consider splitting it up into separate campaigns with each touch point, and then you can use triggers for your subsequent touch points from the first based on your first one. So you can do opened email 1 as your trigger. So that's something I can go in and show you now. So how are we going for time? I can quickly, while you pop through some questions, I'll quickly show those other conditions. And yeah, like I said, just pop through any questions you've got while I do that. While I'm here, I just mocked up another way that you could do that same journey. So again, you've got your users, you've got all contacts, but instead of having a date and time that you're going to start this on, you're going to trigger it when the tag is added. So this would be constantly rolling. and as contacts have that tag added, they'll get the first email, etc., etc. So that's another way you can do it, and you're still qualifying people because they've got that tag. And another thing you can do is, like I said, did they open the email rather than did they click on a link? So that's just a level of engagement. And there was another different one. So requalifying, if your campaign is over a long time period, you can have another condition if tagged and that same tag to make sure that they are still a potential seller. If, like I said, if your journey is quite a long one. So just some other points to note there. Let me go and have a look. I'll start with a new one so I can show the triggers. Just create a new one. Oh. I'm conscious of time and we're already getting up to half an hour, so I'll try to make this brief. So the trigger subscription, hopefully that's fairly self-apparent. So that's when they subscribe. Opened email we touched on, so you can make this email, this campaign trigger based on your contacts opening another email. So something they've shown interest in will trigger this one. Clicked on a link like we saw in that example. So if they clicked on a link within a certain email, we can trigger another campaign. Attended an OFI. So if you have noted in your CRM, not all CRMs will push through to us that open notification, but a lot of them do, and that can trigger off like a thank you email, for example. And then the tag change. So in that example we were looking at, if you have a buyer tag added, you can send your latest listings to them or trigger that email based on that. I'm just going to add that module so I can show you the conditions. Okay, conditions. So this is getting further down the track. So we've based it on a schedule, perhaps, and then we want to make it conditional on the contact opening or not opening a certain email. We can make it conditional on them clicking on or not clicking on a certain link, like we had that example before. We can make it conditional on whether they've interacted with property recently. So they've clicked on property, and you can specify if that's in a particular email. So if you've got your sold property report, you can see if they're looking at sold properties, things like that. Or you can do any email. So are they showing interest in property at all within the time period you choose? We've got if attribute. The example I always think of with this one is street address. So if you don't have an address for your contacts, you can choose the attribute of street address and does not have a value, and you can target those contacts with a profile update call to action to see if you can get them to populate and update their profile and give you their address, which obviously helps you with knowing their engagement behaviour, if they're looking at sold properties right where they live, etc. Obviously very valuable information to have. And if sent email. So here's a way that you can make sure, so if you've previously sent this email to a contact and you don't want to send it again, so we would choose was not sent, perhaps this potential seller email within a time period that we choose, so that you're not doubling up and you're not resending emails to people. So you can do that. That would work with that tag, triggering with the tag being added in that second example I showed you for the campaign. So you can make sure that you haven't sent that email or that first potential seller's email to this contact within the last month, if you like. So that's all the, pardon me, triggers and conditions. I'm just having a look at your question, Doug. I'm not sure, I'll come back to you about that after the session, I think, because I'm not sure when you say, obviously only starts once the appraisal is done. So I'm not sure if your case is different to others, because that's not always the case. So we'll come back to you afterwards on that one, Doug. Is there any other questions from all of that. I know it's a lot in one quick session, but let me know if there is. In the meantime, we've just linked a quick link to a survey on the webinars just to see what you liked, what you didn't like about the webinar, what you'd like to see in future. So if you have a second to give us some feedback, that'd be amazing. Otherwise, I don't think there's a lot of other questions. If there is anything I've missed, we'll come back to you after the session. So just to reiterate, keep your content concise, personalised and up to date, and send it to relevant, interested contacts so that you're creating value in your contact relationships. So even if they're not looking to transact right now, you're building confidence and brand awareness so that when they're ready, they'll think of and come to you to help them sell their home or find their new one. Remember to include those calls to action towards the top to capture their interest of those that are ready or almost ready. Yeah. So as I said, we'll send you a copy of the session so that you can go over anything again. I know that, like I said, it was quick and a lot. So by all means, go through that. Also remember, there's other resources at your disposal apart from these webinars. You have the knowledge base, so you can come in here and look up queries. There's also lots of training videos that you can access. Within your account, you've got the help button, so you can come in and it's like you can access the knowledge base straight from your account. So you can type in a query and search the knowledge base. You can also click the get in touch button to start a live chat with one of the support teams, so they can step you through something while you're still in your account and help you out there as well. Okay, so with that, I'll sign off. I've taken over half an hour of your time, so thank you so much for attending, and I hope that there's been some helpful content in that today. Hopefully we'll see you at some more webinars in the near future. Until then, bye for now. Thanks, guys.